Welcome back to Global Time Attack GTA Finals Day 2. We're finally back on track after a nice little fog delay this morning. It's good to see these guys out. We actually have a few times already up and posted. We have Amir Bentatu with a 145.970. We got session 1, group 1 out immediately. As soon as the fog lifted enough where the corner workers in the track felt it was safe enough, we were out and running. So first lap of this first session, Amir with a 145.9. I want to go over a few things that happened yesterday. We have Amir leading limited class with a 145.3. We have Will Drees with a 145.479, about a tenth off from the overall lead, followed by Damian Tuchinishki at a 146.412. So limited class is going to be one of the most contested classes here right now. In street class, we have Amir leading in his RS Future Coilrad NSX at a 146.378. Oh, here we have the WRD Prelude parked off on the side. We actually are black flagged right now. It does look like from reports we may have some oil on track and sunset. This may be the reason why we see the WRD Racing Prelude on the dirt. So back to street class, we have Amir leading with a 146.378, Kyle Robinson second with a 150.279, and Johnny Hernandez, who did have a catastrophic, in third with a 159.24. In enthusiast class, we have a pretty strong field right now. Noah Geither leading in his Honda Civic Type R Reyes Racing with a 157.049, followed by Craig Coker with a 157.116. In third, we have Jeffrey Ting with a 157.209. Here's some quick shots from yesterday of the actual fog that was going on. That's live on the stream, Jeff.
Stop. You're seeing something else. You're not seeing.
Okay, good. You're freaking terrifying me right now. Sorry.
You're seeing.
Okay, there we go. Okay, unmute me. It does look like it was Will Drees in the WRD Racing Prelude that was pushed off track. We're not sure if they had a catastrophic. They were running into a few issues. They said they got those sorted out and they were going out to try and lay down a flyer. I was talking to Will earlier today. He told me the car definitely has a 44 in it. If they could put everything together, it would be in the 43s. The car shut off on them after their fastest lap yesterday. It looks like the crank pulley had backed itself out. They got everything cleaned up, put back together, and they were going out today to try and lay down a flyer. On track, on the screen, you do see the times for each of the run groups so far. We'll go over those with you a couple more times today just so you know what happened yesterday. But this is our first chance back on track since the fog delay. In case you were wondering, the reason we were backed up so much and waiting, this is the fog from earlier. It was pretty severe. Compared to yesterday, we did have a fog delay, but this one held us about an hour longer. It didn't seem so bad first thing in the morning, but yesterday it actually cleared up relatively quickly. Today it just kept coming in thick waves. All right, they did get the WRD Racing Will Drees off the track. I'm not sure if they're going to have to go out and clean it up. We did get a report from somebody that there might be oil on track. We did see Dai Yoshihara spin out going through Sunset or leading into it, so it does lead us to believe that that may be the issue. They black flagged the session for now, so obviously we want to make sure everyone is safe. No one wants to go out and hit an oil slick going through Sunset. We're actually going to go right now and see what Will had to say about this track and what was going on. He got a quick little interview with him, so let's see how he feels about it. We had a quick little issue there. Something happened with the audio. We'll get that pulled back up for you and make sure you can see how Will felt. Will had a lot of good insight about what's going on with the track, how the car is going, and what they feel they can really get out of it. We're still waiting on them to clean up Sunset right now. I can see it from the tower. They do have a truck over there cleaning it up, so we should be able to go hot pretty soon. Obviously, we're on a shorter time frame. We're going to make sure they get all of their sessions, so Buttonwillow's safety and fire right now is working their tails off to make sure we can get this clean quickly. As soon as this is up and running, we'll send out this next group immediately. Looks like track is clear. Fire and safety is coming off. They have cleaned off Sunset. So we're going to have Group 2, Session 1 going out. Looks like Amir did get the BMW in after that 145 lap. And then he is going to try and lay down a flyer in the NSX. A lot has changed on this car. It's kind of hard to see some of it, but he does have an NA2 front end. He has a whole new engine setup. He was in a K24 setup before. He's back to a built K20. He did a 46 yesterday with some EPS issues, so they were really running into steering problems where they had to replace the battery. It was drawing so much amperage that the power steering would cut out mid-corner. He had a pretty strong off-through bus stop, about 95, 100 miles an hour straight. No damage to the car was done though, so at least we have the ability to go back out and lay down a flyer. He is out there right now. He's not sure if he can match his time from last year, but then again, he wasn't sure he could do a 44 last year, so I'm not here to bet against him. So here's Amir in the RSP. The car does look completely different with that NA2 front end. People think it was just a headlight swap, but the whole front end is off of a second generation NSX. Behind Amir in the NSX is Jose Mejia in the Art of Attack Civic Type R, being followed by Mike Kang in his A90 Supra. Nick Hayes in the BMW M4 Art of Attack and RS Future entry is definitely a new car to us. It was a fresh build. It was released at SEMA, and we definitely expect to see some fast laps out of that. I know you noticed that debris there on the ground. That's actually the oil dry that gets used to pick up any oil. It is a pro and a con. It does allow you to be able to actually drive on track, but drivers will tell you it does get rid of some grip. So drivers aren't going to have the most confidence going into Sunset until a lot of that has been taken off the track from drivers. But Amir did lay down a 148 immediately. I spoke with him earlier. The biggest problem with the fog is these temperatures and these conditions are perfect for personal bests and for records, but because the fog was so thick and so low, the track is almost damp. It's almost as if it had rained hours ago and the track is starting to clear up. So the very first session yesterday after the fog, which should have been the fastest, was not. It took another session for people to really lay down their fastest laps. Luckily, this NSX is not a one-lap wonder. He is able to do a couple laps back-to-back, especially with this weather. The engine's happy, the tires aren't going to be overheated, the brakes aren't going to be overheated. So he laid down a 148 on his first flyer. Let's see if he can get down into the 45s. This is actually from up in the air. Obviously, you could see that the fog is still pretty dense. Down here at ground level, it's nice and easy to see, but from up where the drone is flying right now, you can actually see the fog is still very thick. A nice shot right there of bus stop from the air. I think probably the best part about that oil dry is it's not actually online. It's pretty safe to assume that Corey Wells in the WRD Racing, something let go and let oil out. It could be from their oil system. It could be an engine failure. We're not really sure yet. But when it did happen, he went straight. Sunset's a pretty tricky corner, but you turn in relatively early. So these drivers are really only getting some oil dry on their outside tires while they're turning in. The more people that take this corner, the faster it'll clean up and the faster the track will be. It does look like these drivers are pushing, but I'm not seeing any times that are faster than yesterday. Minus Mike King, I believe. Mike King was in the 51s yesterday, so he's down to a 49.867. That is a very good lap time in his A90. Let's take a look at where he was. He did a 51.463 yesterday, so he's dropped 2 seconds. That does tell you that these sessions are vital for fast laps. It's nice when you have great temperature. Something that would be a little bit better would be some sun on the track to just bring the track temp up just a little bit to give them optimal grip. But realistically, these are some great personal best weathers. You talked to Will Drees right before he went out. He says this is 30, 40 horsepower weather. He wants to go out now. He wanted to go out when the fog was thick. He wanted every bit of that dense air. Haven't seen a optimal lap out of this BMW M3, but we have seen them lay down some fast laps over the weekend. That does look like the Studio RSR Porsche GT3 RS right behind him of Mr. James Chin. Here we have Jose Mejia finishing his hot lap. That white Civic Type R actually bent a wheel yesterday coming through the sweeper. He set his fastest lap time with a rear driver's side tire that was completely flat. He cut the sweeper a little early, pushed him out, and bent one of his TEs. So he's on his backup set of wheels right now, but it's good to see that he laid his fastest lap with a flat tire. It shows that the pace is still in that car. He hasn't had a chance to really drive this track since last year. He's been doing other events. He was with us at Long Beach. He did one event directly after GTA Finals and then has not been back to Buttonwillow since. So it's really good to see him laying down some flyers. Overall, here are the times for this session. You have Amir Bentatu with a 1:48.207, about 2 seconds off his fastest. But Mike King with a 49.867, which is 2 seconds faster than his laps from yesterday. Mr. Hayes with a 1:49.972, followed by Jose Mejia with a 51.4. Group 3, Session 1 is going out. As you can tell, we're going to send them out back to back. We're trying to get everyone as much time as possible after this fog delay. Leading out this session is going to be Noah Geither, or actually I believe Justin Casey in their Evolution is going to go out first, but followed by Noah Geither. Behind Noah Geither is going to be Craig Coker in his Model 3 Performance, and then Jeffrey Ting. Those are the top 3 in enthusiast class right now. They're all within half a second of each other, even less to be honest. Got Noah Geither at a 57.0, Craig Coker at a 57.1, Jeffrey Ting at a 57.2, and Jonathan Lugo at a 57.27. He's a street class car, but he's right behind him on the same time.
GTA Group 3 is hot on track right now. Group 4, you're up next at 12:25. Group 4, your session is at 12:25.
We got some hot laps starting. Noah Geither going to be followed by Craig Coker, and then Mr. Jeffrey Ting. This is the battle of FK8s versus a Tesla in enthusiast class. It's actually pretty cool to see that Tesla pushing as fast as he is. Ariel Salazar was the first one out in his Mitsubishi, but it looks like they came directly into the pits because he didn't cross start finish. Not sure if they're having issues. They were scrubbing the car and pushing it side to side, seeing most of the time it's to clean the tires, but usually on a fresh time attack car that's trying to feel something out. It really is crazy to see the difference. You got Noah Geither here in a completely stock body Type R. Obviously good suspension, great driver. We have a 4 off there through bus stop. We do not have power restrictions in any of our classes, so I know yesterday he was running on a lower power map just to lay down some clean laps. He did get into the 57s, where his record was in the low 59s last year. But behind him in enthusiast front wheel drive is Jeffrey Ting, probably one of the best looking enthusiast class FK8s we've had here. Obviously, he's had to change a lot on his car to be able to fit in our classing. He has an aftermarket front bumper, aftermarket rear bumper with an aftermarket diffuser. So he's had to remove quite a bit of components off his car to be able to fit in enthusiast class. Obviously, if he wants to run everything that he usually does, he'd have been bumped up in the street. But it's his first time competing here at Global Time Attack. It is his HPDE car. He just got back from SEMA with it, so he's ready to try and win, or at least stand on the podium in enthusiast class. So it's nice to see him out here pushing as hard as he is. into the 56s, even with a deep off through bus stop, which is going to slow you down significantly. He still pushed it down half a second almost into the 56s. But Craig Coker pulled a full second out, 56.1. So Noah Geither made a small mistake, pushed it in the 56s. Craig Coker did not. So he was able to push into even deeper 56s. Now we have a 56.187 as our enthusiast leader at this time. We are getting very close right now to the enthusiast overall record. That is still held by Dom Bautista in 2015 with his S2000. He did a 55.518. Hard to say if we'll see a car hit a 55.5, but if Noah can do a 56.6 by putting basically his entire car off through bus stop and sacrifice all the speed through Riverside, I feel if he gets a clean lap, he has a chance to take it. It does look like Jeffrey Ting had an issue or had to pull off. He was having a very fast first and second sector, but maybe had a bad sweeper or bad S's, had to pull out of it. There he is, the one and only Mark Yeager, pulling a 202.625 in his GT Mustang. You saw Noah Geither there in the background coming into the pits. I think the biggest difference you're going to see between Craig Coker and everyone else is he literally has one lap at full power. This is an electric car. It's a Tesla Model 3 Performance, and after one lap, it starts pulling power out of it. He could run a full session no problem, but he's never going to be faster than his initial lap. So he's going to come in, talk to his team. They're super excited about his lap time. Noah Geither, on the other hand, they're going to check his tire pressures, and he's either going to come to the pits or it looks like he's going to go right back out. So he's going to try his hardest to go out, go faster, not put it off through bus stop, and see if he can lay down a faster lap. Seeing these cars in the 56s, especially front-wheel drive. Enthusiast front-wheel drive was a 59 record, so we got 3 seconds off of the Enthusiast front-wheel drive record. And overall front-wheel drive, these cars continue to develop. Corey Wells and Will Drees, we have a good little off there. Subarus tend to go back to their roots. They are rally cars after all, so we see them off more than most. But we got Will Drees in the 45s in a front-wheel drive limited class car. These are times that 2, 3, 4 years ago we didn't think we would see. So the constant development, teams pushing the envelope on chassis that they love, has just really opened the door for people to race whatever they want. It's probably the biggest difference between Time Attack and a whole lot of other series. Yes, absolutely. Could you buy a chassis that you think is the most competitive chassis and build it? Absolutely, no problems. But you're going to go up against teams that have been working through problems on their chassis for a long time and have no issue pushing past you. So teams like that, building cars, sticking with them, not just giving up, those are the cars that are going to continue to be competitive and fast. So for those of you wondering, I know we've been getting a lot of questions on this and we try to make sure it's clear. You're going to see different colors in 2 places. Right here you see a green windshield banner. Well, that dictates street class. You're also going to see a green color next to their name or their time. So I'm going to break them down for you. Yellow is enthusiast class. Green is street class. Blue is limited class. Black is unlimited class. White is pro comp. So we do not put them out there based on speed. We put them out, we do not put them out there based on class. We put them out there based on speed index. And it does look like Jeffrey Ting removed his wing. Maybe he felt he'd get better time out of it, but he did a 57 yesterday with the wing on, and he's now 2 laps in and he's at a 204. We don't put them out there based on class. We put them out there based on speed index, and we let them out with a gap. So the person in first should technically never get caught by the person in second. It allows 2 to 3 hot laps with no issues of running into traffic or having someone in your vision or in your line while you're trying to push. Here we have Mr. Noah Geither pushing a little bit harder, trying to reset his lap. I'm going to try and talk to Jeff after this session or maybe during lunch and see what his thought process was on removing the wing. I'm sure he felt he had a little bit of high-speed push maybe or too much rear grip, but let's see him through this section really quick, see if the car looks planted. He did a 57 yesterday with the setup and the APR wing. This is the area though where you're really going to notice the lack of rear grip. Riverside, you really want to stay planted the whole way through. You do not want to have to lift. You don't want to have to breathe. You just want to be able to have all the grip. There's a lot of low-speed corners here at Buttonwillow, a lot of technical high-speed also, though. So having the proper grip and the proper setup is going to do you a lot better than just kind of trying to throw everything to the wind. Right there, we did see Noah with a better bus stop. So if the rest of the lap is as clean as his lap before, he is going to drop lap time because he didn't put the car off. That's one thing you're definitely going to notice. Besides Ravi's car, I think I just saw a pink NSX off the track. You are going to notice that there will always be S2000s here in competition. It's a car that was not made for too long. You don't see a lot of them on the street, but people have no problem competing in them and sending them to the moon. We're going to see Jeff Ting pass start finish in a second. Let's see if he dropped his time. He pulled 3 more seconds out, but he's still about 3 seconds off his fastest. So I'm sure he really wanted to test the car with no wing, but I would probably recommend him put that back on so he can get back to the 57s where he is. There it is, Noah Geither, 55.596. If Don Batista's watching, that is a couple hundredths off your record. So these front-wheel drive guys really pushing it. 55.5, Noah Geither. We haven't heard anything from safety yet. I'm not sure if he had a catastrophic or if the car just shut off. Ravi's been tracking and racing for a very long time, so he knows to take the car offline and make sure he doesn't impede anybody else. Oh, he probably had a splitter failure. Here we are, guys. I don't know where the splitter is at the moment. I do see part of his front end off. It looks like the headlight covers have popped off. Maybe our drone can back off and see if we see any of the splitter on the floor. It may be under the front end, but we did get a thumbs up from Ravi in the car, so we know that he's safe and he's good. These cars are pretty significantly sprung. There's a lot of downforce. If you have any kind of splitter support failure, the whole piece could end up under the car, and it probably doesn't feel very good. You're going to hear a lot of noises, so he pulled it off immediately. Found it. Our drone pilot is over here investigating. It looks like it dug pretty deep into the dirt. This isn't an area where you tend to go left. This is on the straight leading to Cotton Corners, it looks like. But that definitely buried itself. If he had to go off right there, it does look like the splitter had an excursion. It turns into a snowplow at that point. No, I'm incorrect. That's actually into the turn right there. So he may have had a little bit of understeer, may have came in a little too hot, went straight off, and that super soft silt from Buttonwillow is just going to let that splitter dig in. Those are some pretty stout supports also, and you can tell because it did some pretty decent damage to the front end of his car. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. They can get it put back together and he can come out or at least get the car figured out for the next time he pulls it out. Here we have safety just trying to help Ravi get him all figured out. As you can see, it was pretty severe. You get some kind of digging right there. I'm sure it tore one piece and the next. He pulled off as far as he could, but this is pretty close to the exit of Cotton's where you're trying to lead up to carry a lot of speed into the truck stop, bus stop complex. We can go back through the times, though. This is pretty good session for these folks. Noah Geither took 2 seconds off of his fastest lap. We're at a 55.596. We did expect him to get into the 56s, but he's really pushing his car and his skill set. Craig Coker, who had the fastest lap of that session until Noah went back out, has a 56.1. Ben Sue at a 58.3 is going to be the third person in enthusiast class. The street class cars, we got Mr. Lugod with a 56.4, a 56.5, Mr. Enriquez a 57.8, and Mr. Geraldo a 58.3. So they're staying very close to each other. Enthusiast is definitely the class to beat in this run group. And the enthusiast class used to be the 2-minute class. It was always in the 02s, and if you got into the 59s, you were really getting it. But as you can tell, to even be competitive and enthusiast, you got to be in the 55s and 56s these days. The track hasn't really developed much. It's been the same for many years, but the drivers themselves have found the way to go faster within the enthusiast class limitations. I'm going to go through some quick class descriptions for you if you're just tuning in. Enthusiast class, the class that we were talking about with these crazy fast times, that's our entry-level class. Driver must be the registered owner, OEM transmissions only, allow a 3-inch splitter, Wing must be below the roof line and can't be past the rear of the car by more than 3 inches. Have to be on a 220 treadwear tire with a max width of 285 in rear and front wheel drive and a 255 in all-wheel drive. Street class is a pretty good bump. 5-inch splitter. The rear wing can only go back 5 inches from the rear bumper. No sequentials, but we do allow dog boxes. They have to run our control tire, the Yokohama AO52, but the width is bumped up to 265 in all-wheel drive and 295 in rear and front wheel drive. Engine swaps are limited to what's available to the manufacturer. So you could go from a D series to a B series if you have a Honda. Limited classes where you start to really ramp up. Pro drivers are allowed. You can do whatever to the engine you want. We don't have engine limitations. Sequentials are allowed, but no paddle shift. The front aero box is 14 inches wide by 10 inches out. You still must use the control AO52, but in any size. Engine swaps are open, so if you believe in LS the world, this is the class you're going to run in to start out. And unlimited class is exactly that. It's the most open rule book. We obviously still have some limitations, but pro drivers are allowed. Unlimited engine swaps, sequential transmissions with paddle shift. You can use the Yokohama Advent A005 Slick. You obviously could use an AO52, but you're limiting yourself if you do so. And you can go to any engine swap you want. That does include changing the driveline style, all of that. So if you wanted to take a vehicle and take it to the extreme but keep it within time attack, unlimited's your place. Now let's say you're Sean Bassett with the all-carbon 240 or 260Z that runs Pikes Peak. This is your class. Tube chassis open. You also have Justin Bayless with the S2K Rabbit, rear-wheel drive Rabbit that's tubed out. This is where they go. This class is built for people that want to build something extreme, want to build it out of the box, something they love, but still want to compete. This is the class for them.
Very hard to control the tires.
All right, guys, so here we have the Bobby Velasquez and Nick Bright Honda Civic. This is the car that caught on fire yesterday. Luckily, Nick got it in when he saw a little bit of smoke, and they got the fire out before anything serious happened. The big issue with turbo cars is if an oil feed or an oil drain line rattles loose or gets some kind of rubbage and leak, it can cause a serious problem. And getting in at the right time really saved that car. If he tried to go for another lap with that smoke, there's a good chance it would have burnt down. We've seen it happen in the past. We don't want to see it happen again. So him coming in really saved the car and allowed them to come out and set down more laps. We're seeing some pretty good times here. We got Dai Yoshihara out there in the Spoon FK8 just setting down some test laps. We also have Bobby Velasquez and Nick Kreider at 203.03. You are going to see Dr. Black. That's going to be Robert Medina. Sorry, I had a little something stuck in my throat there. You're going to see Robert Medina going out in his Civic. He's been progressively pushing his lap times down. He towed here all the way from Mexico, and he's learning Buttonwillow is not the easiest track to pick up off the fly. There he is right there. We did see him tow all the way to New Jersey once to run with us, so he has no problem towing it across the states, just trying to get some lap times down. What we're going to do right now is we're going to show you timing and scoring of where all the classes sit. So let's throw those up so you guys can see where we stand for the entire event. Here we have the previous, this is actually a previous, this is Noah Geither at 57.0. It looks like we have to push the new times, but here are the times from yesterday so you know what we had leading into this. First, second, and third were within a few tenths of each other. Noah Geither at a 57.0. We had Craig Coker at a 57.1 and Jeff Ting at a 57.2. Amir Bentatu at a 46.3, Mike King at a 49.8, and Kyle Robinson at a 52. These are all the times leading into today. We'll make sure we push the fresh ones after lunch. Limited is Amir at a 45.3, Will Dries at a 45.4, and Damien at a 46.8. Probably the closest we've seen first and second in limited class in these years. And Unlimited is still being led by Sean Cagle at a 41.3, Dai at a 46.4, and the Hansen family, Wes and Marissa Hansen at a 47.1. But Leaf Store is right on the Hansen family's tail right there. Corvette. Here we have Group 1, Session 2, okay, or I'm sorry, second session of their day. Group 1, Session 6 going out. Sean Cagle wasn't able to make the first session, but to be fair, it was very last minute. We found out that we were going to go hot, and they need more than 10 minutes to prep the car. So Group 1, Session 6 going out. The temperature is amazing. The track is much faster than it was in the last session, so there's a really good chance we're going to see his fastest lap of the event. We're going to see if we can follow Sean here on a lap around Buttonwillow. Maybe we can get him into the 39s where we know he wants to be. And here he is, Sean Cagle, starting his flying lap. He does like a 50-60% lap just to get some heat into the tires, and that's when he really starts to pick it up. This car can only do one flying lap based on its setup. He's already into the 41s, but he has gone faster than that in the past, so we know that there is more time in this car. Behind Sean is Daijiro Yoshihara in the Evasive Motorsports S2000. And it's going to be, I believe, Marissa Hansen in the Nissan Skyline GTR, followed by Kevin Burke. It does look like Sean had to back off, so not quite sure what happened there. He may have lost it. Maybe he locked it into the brake zone, and he knows if he doesn't get an optimal lap, he's just not going to push the car. He's not really in a position to do a second lap, though. He's going to bring it in and probably save it for the next session. So let's try to pick up maybe Daijiro Yoshihara over there in the back session in the blue S2000 that's going through Riverside. This car has been going faster and faster the entire weekend. They used Long Beach as their debut for this car, and same thing happened there. They were just consistently pushing it. There's Dye with a 146.240. His fastest time before that was a 146.4, so they are continuously going faster. Kevin Burke has been going about a second faster every session. There he is at a 48. So he started the weekend at a 52 or 53. They really are pushing this car bit by bit. He's had a lot of issues with this build. Not necessarily things that are anyone's fault, but when they debuted the car in April, a rotor exploded. Completely blew out his front left fender and part of the chassis. We got some smoke coming out of Dye's car. I'm not sure if it's blow by or if it's tire rub, but we do have a good amount of smoke. Seems to be under load though, so not sure if it's coming out of the engine or if there's some kind of rub. But with Kevin Burke's S2000, now they have a car that they're really confident in. They got some help from Will Dries over there from WRD Racing, got an ABS sensor fixed. And every session they go out, they do run the entire session. The car is strong, makes somewhere in the 450 horsepower range with a sequential, and they've been pulling about a second off every session. So earlier, their fastest time was a 49. Now they're into the 48s. At this pace, by the end of the day, they'll be into the 46s. That right there, we got Ray Guerrero with his Dodge Viper. They've had some interesting weekend incidents here. You'll notice that they're on different rear wheels from front wheels. For whatever reason, yesterday through Riverside, his driver rear completely debeaded. The wheel just lost the bead, lost all the air, and luckily no serious incident happened, but they feel that it was probably an issue with the wheel itself, not the tire. So they put on the transport wheels, which look like stock Dodge Viper rims from up here, and they've been running it like that ever since. I'm not sure if he pushed a little too hard into a sunset right there or if he had a mechanical. He seemed to be pushing the car left and right trying to feel it out. So he'll come in, get checked out, and if everything looks all right, he'll send it back. I don't see any concern in Dye's team's face right now, so it's possible that that smoke we saw was just a little rub. It didn't necessarily look like it was coming from the exhaust, so short of some kind of blow-by under the chassis, it probably was some sort of rub. looks like Sunset has bit somebody today, guys. This is exactly what we're talking about with Sunset, how it can so quickly go wrong. This is the corner where if you try to save it, you run the risk of the car just whipping around and coming at you. We see it every session. I know you guys see people putting tires off on the track right there. I know you see people either going off wide or trying to recover. This was one of those situations where it just comes around so quickly. We get asked very often why these tires are here. How could somebody really go into the wall right there? Well, I know you saw it. It happens very fast. This is a great driver, guys. This gentleman has absolutely no problem laying down fast laps. He's been doing it all day, but Sunset bit another one. We're going to be under red flag situations. The good thing is the driver was out of the car very quickly. He is healthy. He is fine. Vehicles can be replaced. People cannot. So we're going to go ahead and let safety do their job. They're going to pick him up. They're going to check him out. There's always EMTs here at Buttonwillow. He may think he's perfect, but obviously we want everyone to be checked out to know they're okay. And we will go back to a hot track as soon as everyone is cleared and everyone is fine. Fire marshals are going to check on them. EMT may come over and check on them. It has been a quick minute since we've seen something like this, so hopefully he's fine. The car obviously is going to need some work, but again, cars can be replaced, drivers cannot. So it's good to see him get out and be okay. GTA safety, I'm sorry, Buttonwillow safety, fire. They got everything all cleaned up. The driver is safe. He's good. Roared back. There's no issues there. We got Group 3, Session 6 going out. They're going to be able to set some laps. Luckily, once again, all of that oil dry is completely offline, so we're not going to have very many issues there. It happens so fast. Next time we take a view at sunset, you can actually see his tire marks. He came around very quickly. He may have entered the corner a little too early or a little too late. Car whipped around, and you have strong tire marks going straight at the wall. Something like that, it just gets out of your hands very quickly. Every time we come to the track, we all know the risk we take. Same with him, but the most important thing is that he's good, he's healthy. Whether they're going to rebuild that car, he's going to work on another one, we'll see him out here again. Here we have Justin Casey in his Unlimited class Evo 10, starting his first flyer. Behind him, Mr. Jeffrey Ting. It looks like he did put the wing back on. So whatever he was testing before without the wing probably didn't work out to his best advantage. Have a nice little off there. That one was some rear wheel action. He lifted. He definitely did not push it any further than that. That's almost the identical location where the GTR went. It's really hard to not try to save it. Now, this was obviously the warm-up lap. It's much easier to lift and restart a lap after that, but when you're on a flyer, your natural instinct is to finish that lap. This is obviously a time competition. It is not a competition for wheel-to-wheel, so lifting and recovering isn't an option here. You would much rather just finish the lap. It's risk versus reward is really what it is. Noah Geither did also go out there, but he came in directly to the pits, so I'm not sure if he's having an issue or he felt something he wants to talk to his team about. Maybe the car just wasn't feeling right, pressures weren't up, so we'll see if he comes back out. He's already laid down a blistering 55, so it's going to be very difficult for the other competitors to get back to that unless they can all match his times. I know Jeff Ting is going to really push his car through there. He's finishing his run through Riverside right now. We'll see what kind of lap time he lays down. Jeff Ting is fastest in this session so far. He was able to get back into the 56s. He was in the 201 range without a spoiler, so it does show you the big difference on these cars. Obviously, a lot of old school mentality people still ask, does that wing really make a difference on that front wheel drive car? Well, it sure makes a big lap time difference. That's 4 seconds right there. But the truth is, stability is stability, especially through corners like Riverside where you're constantly at a high rate of speed. You want the car to stay planted. You want it to feel good. Looks like Aaron Gong got down into the 58s. We have Rich Enriquez in a 57.7, 57.2 in his street class car. Jonathan Lugode in a 59.7 in his street class car. Jeff Ting was on another flyer. I saw him go through Riverside. I'm not sure if he was catching someone back there or if someone was trying to get out of the way. We'll see what the lap times say. Here is Justin Casey coming around in his unlimited class Evo 10. Took 3-4 seconds off his last lap. Looks like he's really chipping it away. There is Jeffrey Ting. A skosh slower. He may have caught some traffic or he may be setting up. Right there is Noah Geither starting his first hot lap of this session. He went out with everyone, but he came in immediately into the pits. Benjamin Sue right there. He's been running a 212 in this session. That is his Evo 8. I'm sorry, Evo 9 you saw on stream a little bit ago. He is running a little faster than that, though. His fastest lap time is a 58.401. Not sure if that was an issue. Maybe he was trying to set up for a flyer, but a 212 is definitely not representative of the times he's been running here this weekend. Same with Mr. Klein. He's in the low 258.59 range. These are the final laps for Group 3, Session 6. Looks like Jeffrey Ting and Noah Geither are still on a flyer. They would be allowed to finish it because it checkered right behind them. But we can see their times are a skosh slower than the fastest they've ran. Noah Geither has ran a 55.5 and Jeffrey Ting has ran a low 56. Not sure if that's due to the track itself or just the session. Sometimes you get put in an odd location, you just can't get in the groove. We have seen people going faster as the day has gone on. If they each finish this last flyer, we'll see if they have improved on their lap times. Noah is a couple tenths off of the overall enthusiast record. Jeff is sitting comfortably in third place in enthusiast class. Here they are back to back. Looks like Noah was a little late on the brakes there. Turned in a little late into sunset. 57.2 for Noah and a 57.7 for Jeff. So pretty much the same as everyone else in this session, just not as fast as they were running the previous session. Here we have Group 4, Session 6 on track, being led out by Corey Kreider, followed by Zach Lumsden, Nick Bright, and then Jack Wynn. Rob Campbell leading up in 5th, and then Jake Graham in 6th. This is their final session before lunch, before a quick break, and then back to the action. Obviously, with the fog delay this morning, we are going to run a very shortened lunch. It's going to be from 1:40 to 2:05, and then we'll be back for the action. This is one of the father-son duo. You're going to see 2 Lancer Rally Arts with identical liveries, just different numbers. That's a father and son right there. So it's really cool to see the family out here. We do have the spoon car off on Sunset, going full 360. I got to see that from the tower. He was making sure that the car did not turn back towards the wall. When he went off, he was turning right. He was trying to keep it straight off track, but it started to really come in back towards the track, so he kicked it hard to the right to make sure it stayed on the dirt. It seems Sunset is the most polarizing figure of this event so far. Are you asking me? It looks like he did pull in through track in. Usually you'd want to finish a lap, but he had a pretty wild ride right there. When you take that hard of a hit, you just want him to look over the car. He got a quick little glance there from our tech steward Nime. Didn't see anything hanging, anything looked good. Obviously, guys, if you're here on a normal track day, please do not pull in from track exit. These drivers have been instructed on what to do. They know that if they have a pretty severe off right there, they want to bring it back in just in case. Also, so they don't leave a bunch of dirt and debris on the racing line. Here we have Corey Kreider, who did start this session out front. Let's see if he can lay down a faster lap. So 1:59.498. Took about 2 seconds off his fastest lap of this session. You see all this oil dry right here? I know you guys have seen it both in Sunset and on the front straight. We are going to break for lunch after this, and it does look like the tractor is ready to go out and sweep the track. So after this session, when we go back hot, these drivers will have a clean track to go back to. It's better to have oil dry on the ground than oil, obviously, but anything on top of the surface is going to limit your grip a little bit. Unmute me. See that right there, father-son duo. You saw one going through bus stop and you saw another one going off on Sunset. It's crazy. We've been getting messages left and right asking how we see this car in multiple places, and you're not, guys. This is two cars, same livery, father-son duo with their Lancer rally arts. That is going to be the end of Group 4, Session 6. Corey Kreider with the lead of this session on his second lap of 159.498. Jake Graham with a 2:01.6. Jack Wynn with a 2:02.7. Justin Bayless with a 2:02.7. Nick Bright with a 2:03.2 after that severe off through Sunset. He is on a flyer, though. Nick might be able to best his time, but I'm sure he's going to come in and have a nice little story about that off. We're going to throw up the schedule for the rest of the day. That way you have no problem keeping up with us on our shortened time schedule after the fog delay this morning. Go ahead and ignore that schedule. We'll get you a more updated one. That was the one as if we were going to run a little bit earlier, but the fog delay pushed longer than expected. We'll get you an updated schedule right after lunch. That way you know when each session will be out. All standings for today pre-lunch. So we got Noah Geither at a 155.5, just a little over a tenth off the overall record. Craig Coker at a 56.1, second in enthusiast. Jeffrey Ting at a 56.9. Benjamin Sue's got a couple seconds if he wants to catch up to the podium winners right now. Amir with a 46.3, still leading street class. Mike King at a 49.8, and Kyle Robinson at a 50.2. Christopher Mayfield in his BMW is very close with a 50.5. Limited class still has Amir in the lead with a 45.3, followed by Will Dries with a 45.4. That was going to be the battle for the top spot on the podium, but I do not believe we're going to see Will Dries back out. Damian with a 46.8, also have not seen him come out, so I'm going to see what's going on with his. Sean Cagle was not able to best himself. He stopped his hot lap in his last session, so he's at a 41.3. Dye has pushed his down to a 46.2, and Wes and Marissa Hansen still at a 47.1. Rick O'Donnell sitting at a 54.4, followed by Nick Bright at a 2:04. He's taken about 2 seconds off. Nick Bright is in that Spoon naturally aspirated BTCC spec Accord Euro R. Seeing that car in this lap time unchanged from when it raced wheel to wheel is pretty impressive. We're going to be taking a lunch break from 1:40 till about 2:05. So we'll push back to you guys at 2:05 Pacific Standard Time. And we'll see you back then. So we're going to have the fastest group going out at 2:05, and we'll push it from there.